There is a Nintendo Direct this week, but as everyone knows, it is a partner showcase. And I just love how everyone's coping and seething about this, which is a low key admission that partners, aka third party publishers, are inferior to Nintendo products and aren't really worth taking seriously at all. The games that are huge heavy hitters on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC won't even leave a dent in the Nintendo audience, right? So I do find that kind of amusing how like partner directs have developed this reputation of being awful because of their association with low effort third party slop, in spite of like the very real interesting things that have developed from these directs. Right, we have gotten good Nintendo partnered products before. Okay, it could mean anything. It could mean like collaborations. It could mean late third-party ports. It could mean third-party exclusives. It could mean like indie game exclusives. Like there's all sorts of things it could be. So like I understand why people are upset because third-party games are inferior, but by and large, we're gonna get what we wanted. We're gonna be getting like some new major Nintendo game announcements for the foreseeable future. What can we expect from this demonstration? Well, I do think, considering recent events, it is very possible that we will get pretty much ports of pretty much every major third-party game over the past couple of years. I'm expecting Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring release date, a Night Rain release date. I'm expecting like Astrobot to come over. Doom, the Dark Ages. Not that anybody cares about that, but like basically, what's gonna happen is that a lot of these lazy Game of the Year contenders from like yesteryear are gonna be released on Nintendo Switch and not even leave like a wet fart. Like remember when like Arkham City was ported to Wii U and everybody like coped and seethed about it? You're like, oh, I've already played that. Like the reality was that Arkham City wasn't a very good game to begin with, and releasing on the Wii U didn't really do anything to increase its longevity or make it relevant again or keep people talking about it. Like, Arkham City was just a complete and total disaster, you know, on Wii U. Like, not because of the console or because of Nintendo or because of like the new features or whatever. Like, Arkham City failed because Arkham City was fundamentally a bad game. Batman is fundamentally a bad character. Okay, with no real appeal or charisma, like draw to him, like he is a cheap knockoff of the Shadow. So just getting that out there. But anyway, like you're going to be seeing a lot of that with this presentation. Yeah, you're going to be seeing Baldur's Gate 3 come out. The game that is supposedly bigger than Tears of the Kingdom, and it's not going to leave an impact at all. Like it's going to come out, people are just going to be like, that wasn't out on the console already, and then they're just going to ignore it. It's going to get like overshadowed by Tears of the Kingdom again. You know, and if anything, like one of two things are going to happen with these ports. Like people are going to complain about how they've already played the game and that they don't want to get it on Switch 2, and um, people who aren't interested in the game aren't going to pick it up on Switch 2. And if they do, they're going to realize very quickly that in spite of all the critical praise and attention, Baldur's Gate 3 and Astrobot are not on the same level of quality as their Nintendo competitors. And I think having these kinds of third-party games on Nintendo platforms really, really makes that clear because people didn't hype up Baldur's Gate 3 because of the the gameplay or the style or like the story or whatever. Like they hyped it up because it wasn't a Nintendo game. And like when you see the game get ported over, like you're instantly gonna see just like the enthusiasm just evaporate. We saw this with Persona 5 as well. Like with Yakuza 0, with like Nier Automata, right? Like the instant these games get a Nintendo port, real gamers get a hold of them and we suddenly start making reviews over like, this is slop, it hasn't aged well, it wasn't good to begin with, right? Like why is this the same thing as a game made 20 25 years ago that was better in every way, shape, and form, right? There's just so many examples of that. in this industry. Like it is going to be really interesting kind of seeing like the narrative regarding like Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3, specifically this idea that they are bigger than Zelda, just kind of like fall apart, and I expect that's going to happen a lot with The Witcher as well. It has been happening with The Witcher, with Bethesda products, with Skyrim, and so forth, right? It's just the idea that like third party games are bigger and better than their Nintendo counterparts cannot survive in an industry where they actually are getting released on Nintendo platforms within a reasonable time frame. It's just not going to happen. So, with that being said, we are going to get a lot of lazy ports, but we are also definitely going to get some new games. And the question that's on everyone's mind is like, what exactly are we going to get? What new games could come out of the pipeline that could be, coming from publishing partners that could be like interesting? I think people like partners essentially amounts to like any studio that Nintendo doesn't own directly. So yeah, um, it won't be Retro Studios or Next Level Games or anything, but it could theoretically be like Grezzo or Platinum or like any of these other companies that like have a long history of putting out like good stuff on Nintendo consoles, right? It's possible. I was talking about this while I was finishing up Link's Awakening the other day. Like it's possible that we are due for another Zelda remake. It has been about like 6 years since Link's Awakening on Nintendo Switch, and we have not gotten a straight up Nintendo remake since. We got Skyward Sword HD, but that wasn't really a remake. Like I think, considering the game's age, that it is very possible that The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker might be due for a remake from a new studio. Like that game is like what 23 years old now. I think it's older now than Ocarina was when it was remade on 3DS. So like Wind Waker getting kind of an overhaul might be really interesting to see if they like throw in new features, new content, like and really like take advantage of like the unique visual style, like completely redo like the Great Sea or whatever. Like I think in theory it would be very easy to kind of like redo Wind Waker, lose absolutely nothing out of the core experience, and yet like add so much more with like more versatile islands, more like things to do, like uh, a more well produced second half, right? With the Triforce, but like I think in theory that might be very interesting if they like go in that direction, like especially if they could like redo the sailing and make it way more dynamic and interesting. Like again, I think it's very possible that Grezzo could be working on something like that, or like some new project. Obviously, Echoes of Wisdom just came out, but it's perfectly possible we could be seeing like something from them. Like Ever Oasis. Like I'd love to see that. A port of Triforce Heroes. Like there's so many things that they could be involved with. But like I think the big thing that like I'm expecting is a Silksong. I do believe that Nintendo has 100% like lockdown Team Cherry. The reason the game has been taking so long to come out is because Nintendo like locked them down and got Silksong as like a timed exclusive, right? Like Silksong is going to launch as a timed Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive this year, I think. And the signs have been there for a while, but I do expect like that's going to be like the big like ball buster announcement that's going to leave a lot of people seething. Like even the mere fact that like a Silk Song release date could be unveiled during the showcase might be controversial for some PC gamers, but yeah, I do think the majority of Hollow Knight fans are pretty much exclusively on Nintendo hardware at this point. Everyone I know has exclusively played the game on console, on Nintendo consoles. Like there is no audience for this stuff on PlayStation, Xbox, or PC. So seeing it like make its way to like a real gaming console is definitely going to be really exciting. Uh, when it comes to like third party games, I think it's possible that like Capcom could produce a new Ace Attorney. That they could announce some Monster Hunter ports. That they could do like all sorts of things like that. I don't expect anything substantial though. Capcom has made it very clear that they are firmly in the park pocket of the snoise, and that they will do anything it takes to sell people on the idea that PlayStation is the future. You know, just like they have been doing since the '90s. Like, I don't really see Capcom doing anything more drastic than finally giving us Monster Hunter World. You know, years after that game should have released as a Nintendo Switch exclusive to begin with. But right, like it'll definitely be interesting finally seeing like World release on a real console, and seeing like people like just kind of like openly acknowledge the game as shit, because let's be real here, the only reason people defended World back in the day was because it went like it abandoned Nintendo hardware. But considering how like poorly Wilds is doing right now, and it is doing very poorly, I do expect that like Capcom is gonna have to like bend the knee and put Monster Hunter back where it belongs, like on Nintendo hardware. They were very quick about porting Rise to other consoles, and yet we still don't have World. We still don't have Wilds, and like those really should have been day one games. Like that's just the reality of it. There was no reason not to have that stuff available on Nintendo Switch. Not even the Switch 2, like on Nintendo Switch. So like Capcom is gonna cuck and not do anything of value at all. Sega is not gonna do anything. Like, knowing Sega, they're probably just gonna announce like Yakuza Kiwami 2 or something lame like that. Like, what else could they even like unveil? Like, could they do like I don't know, like some Atlas game? Like, I could see Nintendo like partnering with Atlas to like produce I don't know, like some new JRPG. I would love it. I would love it if they like produce Tokyo Mirage Sessions 2 or something like that, because I've been talking about that game a lot and how much I love it. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna see anything substantial. People are talking about like Persona 3 and 4 remakes. Should have happened already. Like, there was no reason for those games not to be announced for Switch One already. Um, but like Atlas is gonna like fight to keep Persona off of Nintendo hardware. Like, we still have not gotten a Persona game that was a mainline one that released day and date with the PlayStation version. So they are gonna fight that tooth and nail, while also simultaneously putting SMT on other platforms, even though it does really badly on them. Shin Megami Tensei 5 did do far worse on other platforms than it did on Nintendo Switch. So there's that to consider. Like, Sega just doesn't have anything going for them anymore. Like, I keep seeing online that people seriously believe that like Sega Cross Worlds is going to outdo Mario Kart, and I just can't help but like shake my head and laugh at that. Like, that's just such a gigantic cope. It is not going to happen, and you do kind of have to like accept it, that it's just never ever ever going to happen. So Koei Tecmo could, I think it's possible that we might see like, Age of Imprisonment, the Hyrule Warriors game. Hopefully it's better than Age of Calamity. Like, I have tried to get through Age of Calamity over like the past like 5 years. Can't do it. Like, Age of Calamity is in the short list for like worst Nintendo games ever produced. Like, I am being serious here when I say Age of Calamity is like one of the most like is the one of the worst Nintendo games I've ever played. Like, balls to the wall, like absolute like bottom of the barrel trash. Like, I don't know how that ever got made. So like Age of Imprisonment, I hope is better. I hope they do a lot more with that. I hope they improve the mechanics and really like come up with a concept and an idea. Like, Tears, I think, has better lore in a setting that could like suit the Warriors formula better than Breath of the Wild. Like, Breath of the Wild, they had to like invent all kinds of like Age of Calamity, they had to invent all kinds of crazy situations, and like it doesn't work like at all. I'm just so hopefully like Age of Imprisonment is like, they put a lot more effort into like the setting and the lore and like the world and the characters and stuff like that. Like, it was just like Age of Calamity really does feel as if like a 12-year-old wrote it. Like, oh, what if the champions from the past met the characters from the future? Like, it's like, come on. Like, come on, bro. Like we had like a lot better. We had like a way better story than that in Breath of the Wild. Like they had one job, have everyone die at the end, and they couldn't do it. Like they didn't have the balls to do it. It was like such a disappointment. Such a disappointment. But anyway, yeah, Age of Imprisonment, we will see a little bit. We might see Daemon X Machina actually from Marvelous because that already has a release date for September, but I expect we'll see like some major like final trailer or something leading up to its release. I don't know how it's gonna do. I did not like the original Daemon X Machina. I thought it was clunky. I thought it made no sense. It was nonsensical. But I am going to try this one just because I'm like curious and I've been getting more into mech stuff. I love Mobile Fighter G Gundam. So like um I hope that like eventually Daemon X Machina like finds its footing, but like yeah, that was like one of the major L's of like the early Nintendo Switch 2 period, like the Nintendo Switch period was like the original Daemon X Machina. I have no idea um didn't go over well at all. I would love to see like more from Marvelous. I think they published like Grasshopper Suda. I think they're publishing that new Suda 51 game, so that might be cool to see another trailer for that, so I can actually talk about it. Like last time, I just kind of glazed over it when I saw it in the PlayStation presentation. But yeah, like there's we're probably gonna see like that a little bit. Let's see here. Sega, Capcom, Square. Like Square, I think could theoretically announce like more like decade old Final Fantasy ports. Like they're gonna give us 13, they're gonna give us 14. Like it's they're gonna try and like revitalize like 14 by like tying it in with Nintendo Switch audiences, like, oh man, we're finally doing what you asked and putting this game on the console. Like, they're gonna try and do that. Um, like, they're probably gonna do 15. We might even get 16. Okay, like I think at this point, there's no denying the fact that there's no reason for like Final Fantasy to not be on Nintendo hardware. Square like has been fighting to stay off of Nintendo hardware for like the past several decades, since the '90s, and like I do think it's kind of reached its natural conclusion where like they're completely obsolete and irrelevant and not going to showcase anything like of value from Final Fantasy. Now, Dragon Quest is another matter because I do believe like Dragon Quest 12 is probably going to be like the last major Dragon Quest game we get because this is the last game that like Toriyama worked on, Sugiyama worked on, and probably the last game Yuji Horii is going to work on. Like I don't see him like like staying on board after this. But like yeah, Yuji Horii, we're gonna get like a release date confirmation for Dragon Quest One and Two HD, and we are immediately going to be greeted with like Dragon Quest 12. So we are going to get like Dragon Quest 12 on there. We are gonna get like some footage of it. Hopefully, it's a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive because like if it's not, like Yuji Horii is a sellout, and we like Japan really needs the riot because like Horii's like entire cope for like decades is this idea that like Dragon Quest only releases on the most popular hardware, and yet the most coincidentally he only seems to release it to release them on a PlayStation hardware. Like the only time we got an exclusive was with Dragon Quest 9, which is not the most popular title in the series. So like it's like he bent over backwards to try and like make the PS4 version of Dragon Quest 11 like the definitive version upon release. And it's true that we got like a better version on Switch like a year or so later, but like that really should have been like the primary platform for it. Like there was no reason to like do that thing like, oh man, like the game's on 3DS but the better version's on PS4. Like there was no reason to do any of that. Like it should have just been like a Nintendo Switch exclusive day one, like no questions asked, and hopefully they've learned their lesson going into this. Like I can't imagine they haven't because the series is primarily big among Nintendo fans in the West, and the Switch is bigger in Japan anyway. So like yeah, if Hori tries to cuck out on that, like that's going to be disappointing. We might also get like a trailer for like Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince 2, which I don't know, like The Dark Prince is legit one of my most played Nintendo Switch games. Like it is legit one of my most played Nintendo Switch games ever. And yet I hate that game with a passion. It is so nonsensical. Hopefully the sequel like fixes all of its problems, like making the environments more interesting, improving the visual quality, like doing all of that. Um, but like, yeah, there's no denying that the original Dark Prince was just like a huge slog to get through and like had really insulting story elements. So hopefully like when the Dark Prince 2 comes out, hopefully exclusively on Nintendo consoles, hopefully they fix all those problems and like make it a more like viable just JRPG monster catching experience. Like I definitely am fired up about getting into Dragon Quest Monsters because the Dark Prince is the only one I've played, but I understand that like this series has like a pretty long history and is like super popular. So I would really love to like play the older games as well. Hopefully they come to NSO someday, but like I did not care for the original Dark Prince. So hopefully the sequel is better. But yeah, they're probably also gonna like do what they always do and just port some like no name like RPG from the 90s on there or whatever. No, we're on the Switch 2 now, so we might be in the 2000s. So like I don't know, we'll get like I don't know, what did they even release in the 2000s? Does anyone know? Like it does feel like Square stopped producing like anything good in the 2000s. But like anyway, like yeah, we're gonna get like some 2000s RPG that nobody cares about. Um, like I know like they were teasing like a Chrono Trigger remake. The series is like, oh well, the original is 30 years old this year, so it is time that we got one. But like, I don't know how good that's gonna be. I mean, Chrono Trigger is super overrated anyway, but I do think it's possible we might see that get announced. But that's just my thinking about that. So yeah, that's that. Yeah, it's from Square. Who else? Konami? Are they gonna do anything interesting? I guess they could do Metal Gear Solid Volume 2. Like I mean they had like a launch day game on Nintendo Switch 2, Survival Kids, which is like a new entry in a series that like no one's ever heard of. This shockingly really good like Game Boy Color game. I really need to go back and play that again. But like yeah, Konami, I just don't see anything doing anything relevant. Like what are they gonna do? It's just that's just kind of my that's just kind of my mindset. So yeah, we have yeah that's kind of my mindset on this is that we're gonna get a bunch of old ports, but like this is just going to like kind of reaffirm like the stereotype among Nintendo fans of like how third parties are lazy, they don't put any effort in, that they can't produce anything good. Like anybody who buys these lazy half-ass ports is going to come away with the same feeling that I did is that like this is why Nintendo is superior. Like that's kind of my feeling going into this, like looking at people's reactions to this, like how disappointed people are with like, the Nintendo Direct partner showcase. Like the fact of the matter is, like third parties did this to themselves. Like I look at like every single like third party developer out there, whether it's like Level 5 or Platinum or like Sega or Konami or Square or Capcom. Like all of these guys are have just spent like the past several decades just undermining their businesses, refusing to develop quality products, just doing everything possible they can to like normalize microtransactions and just like try and push gas, like who do you know like who's asking WB like, oh please port Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League to Nintendo Switch 2? Nobody's doing that. Like nobody is. And I think that's a testament to just how worthless third party developers have come in the past 25 years. when they went to PlayStation, when they decided to try and undermine Nintendo and like worked like tirelessly to try and ruin this company, uh, like this is the end result. Like they weren't building up their own brands or doing anything new, unique, or exciting. They just milked their pre-existing audience while Nintendo built up this insane back catalog of talent. You know, poaching people from the other companies, you know, building up dream teams that can like split off and like make their own like dream projects, you know, like the Mario Odyssey team split off and made Bonanza, right? Like you have like, you know, them putting out new IPs on the regular. You know, you have them like, you know, poaching talent, like, you know, guys that no one's ever heard of. You know, like that guy from you know, Grezzo who worked on Secret of Mana, who went on to make Ever Oasis. You know, like they have like people like that producing games for them. You know, they have a plant at Platinum Games right now, you know, working to like get the real talent in the studio like on board with Nintendo developers. You know, like we have like Nintendo has like dominated the industry, and the vast majority of gamers don't want to admit it. They would rather clutch their like 40K like Space Marines and try and convince themselves the Emperor will save us. Like the Emperor is too like the Emperor isn't shit. Okay, like you are not going to be able to coast off of, well, 40K is so hardcore, like for the rest of time. Like you aren't going to be able to do that. You aren't going to be able to coast off of Harry Potter or Lego or like D&D or like Lord of the Rings or Baldur's Gate or whatever, like, you know, generally mainstream boomer brand you latch onto. Like you are consistently going to get ruined by like whatever Nintendo game comes out that year. Like that's the reality of this is that Donkey Kong Bonanza and Mario Kart World are bigger than Grand Theft Auto. And like whatever like other like AAA slop you'll try and like throw at people, like the reality is Nintendo has long ago surpassed your favorite things.